Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the old well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in that wonderful technical rainbow in between, welcome to tonight's coverage of the Titan Esports Immortal League. I'm What's and joining me, as per usual, is my good friend and co-caster for the split, Ozzy. How you doing today, Ozzy?
I'm doing well, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for some League of Legends. Who is not? Close game
Of
today,
course.
actually, as it
It
turns out.
should
So,
be. We are very
uh,
excited. We've got Death Cards and SGR. Two teams that are looking really good. Death Cards especially sitting at the top of our bracket currently. Whereas SGR still fighting for that third place spot in playoff contention. They're not out of it by any means, but they've got some tough competition today.
yeah, I will say that, for SGR as well, kind of necessary that they win today, which puts a lot of pressure on a team, especially, Death Cards kind of can take a deep breath. They are at the top, right? Of course, you all want to maintain that. You obviously do not want to lose your spot, but if you do ultimately lose today, it's definitely not as bad as it is for something like SGR when, getting into that 4 seed is very close right now, right? Like SGM is there as well. You have Team B who is in that 4 seed. So it's a very close race as we are getting closer and closer to playoffs. This is now the crunch time in my mind because we are now past the halfway point. So this is the crunch time, as it will be the Trendemir band here for Death Cards.
Instantly taking that one away from Havoc or Mags. It's easily that can go into the jungle, though I think we more often see it towards the top lane. Immediately, I like that these bans are a lot more focused on what the players are comfortable on versus the meta. Is the meta, with it being a new patch where I think we're on 2606 now? I'm trying to remember the numbers.
We are
Things are
on 06.
Yeah, things are still shaking up. People are still getting an exact read for how the patch is going to change things. People are
Well,
still figuring everything out. So we are going to stick with a lot of top lane bans here. Akali, Gwen, Renekton, and Tryndamere, like you mentioned before. So really pinching down that pool early.
sorry, I lied. We are on point.
Is it still 2605?
This is 0.5. Well, at
Oh,
least
I'm
that's what the
embarrassed.
patch notes are on the League client, so I just went to
I'm
double check.
embarrassed.
It happens. I mean, also it's kind of bad. I won't lie, because I also look like patches ahead of time, so I also have like talking points about like, oh, this champion's doing really good right now, but it will be the Aurora who's actually kind of risen in priority here a little bit, which happy to see, of course. Now
Yeah, there are
granted,
plenty of things you can pick into the Aurora. A lot of champions do fairly well into it. Galio is one of them. Normally you prefer to have it in mid, but it can technically go to top lane.
yeah, I mean, both these champs can go top, so some mind games potentially here from both teams.
I feel like we've
Will
seen
be
the
the
Aurora
Ezreal.
more in top lane recently than we have in mid.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. Like, that is 100% true. But I will say that picking something like the Ezreal blind is a little scary, because he kind of right now is suffering from the same issue as like a Gen does in draft. Like, what happens if they just start slamming tanks? Well, you need to find damage somewhere else in your comp because it's not coming from Ezreal in terms of killing those guys. But so far, that's keeping, not so bad for Death Cards, as they will actually get the Karma Ezreal. Now, Death Cards opting for the Varus does give them a very good Serpent's Fang builder. Lethality Varus still fine,
Still pretty good,
as it
as it
turns
turns
out.
out.
So don't you worry, guys. That's definitely going to be going somewhere at some point, at any point in time.
Probably going to get another nerf towards it, and it will be fine. We are starting to see some more bans now, a little bit more jungle focused this time around, even though the Xin Zhao is already locked in for Fortnite. The Kane ban, I think, probably aimed towards top, I would have to assume at the very least, alongside that Nautilus, which is going to be more targeted towards support. Nautilus has a great matchup into Karma, not as much into Ezreal, but if you can bully out the support, Ezreal just doesn't really have a good time.
Yeah, definitely won't have a good time, but some good range here for SGR's bot lane. Can kind of be a bit of a nuisance against the Forest for a while. But Karma does need to be mindful that you are putting yourself in position almost always to get Chains of Corruption, which is such a phenomenal pick tool. I think it goes without saying.
Well, Lissandra potentially blind here, assuming that the Galio does go into the top lane. I don't know how I feel about it. Lissandra is also a really safe laner, so I don't hate it at the very least. And it is going to be an Enchanter matchup in the bottom lane. Nami Varus, just a solid lane combo. Getting extra damage and slows on your poke and extra damage for that all-in, a little bit of CC, it does feel really good.
Yeah, it definitely does, and will be the Anivia.
Ooh.
So coming into the Lissandra definitely not all that well known for being long-ranged. But the Anivia does need to kind of be worried because the gank potential here is off the charts. A lot of lockdown here for death cards between the mid jungle, more so around the mid laner, right? Just on a factual level here, but regardless, still some decent lockdown here from death cards. Although this is they drafted Ezreal early, but their comp can actually kind of struggle into the Ezreal poke because they don't really have someone who can soak it up as easily as, say, a Cassante or an Ornn, whereas,
Yeah. The front line, they're really relying on Vertigo on this Xin Zhao to have a lot of that pseudo-tankiness at the very least, if not drain tank ability, but Xin Zhao versus Anivia, Xin Zhao versus even the Karma to a certain extent can be really rough. We're going to have to see how they navigate that as we're going to jump onto the Rift here. It's Game 1, Death Cards and SG Resurgence.
Yeah, like I said, for SGR here, they are kind of fighting for that 4th seed, right? So it is really important for them to win today. Even a 2-1, they'll take, right? But just important that they win the match. As already, Karma being a bit of a nuisance here to the bot lane. The nice thing about Nami is you get to sustain quite a bit in the lane. So that is a benefit here. Whereas otherwise, maybe you wouldn't have that from other supports. And will be the lethality virus, as you can tell by the Arcane Comet, which he has opted into, which is, again, the smart choice.
I do worry a little bit about DC's ability to kill frontline, especially if Havoc ends up building a majority just magic-resistant health, as normally you do build health and armor versus the Varus, but given that he's almost the sole AD threat, Xin Zhao is going to be providing physical damage, but definitely less so. I worry that there's a chance that Havoc and Mags just sort of get out of control with how effectively tanky they can be.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some concerns here across the board in terms of damage output for both comps towards frontline. But I think, for the most part, death cards are going to be actually, behind in this fact because, again, they don't really have great ways of getting through tanks. The Galio is going to be easily eating all of this damage for them very, very easily. For the most part, right? The Varus might be a bit of a struggle, but everyone else, it should be no issue whatsoever. But again, death cards going for a bit more comfortable draft here. So sometimes comfort kind of helps you get over that line, right? That you desperately need.
Havoc is going to be forced to eat a little bit of damage here. It seems like there was a pause a little bit earlier leading into the game, so there's just going to be a momentary freeze here. We should get back to actually having the game, but it's been a very slow early game, which I think for a lot of the times is not really what we've been seeing in terms of the players and what's been going on here.
Yeah, definitely have not been seeing that at all, which, again, it is M600, okay? M600 really loves to fight, and
yeah, I was about to say, this is the LPL of Titan. Where's the first blood? Where's the level 4 dives? What are we doing?
What is happening? Very abnormal. Definitely not used to having this much time to talk in the early game, but they decide that we're gonna have a nice chill one. At least now. We gotta wait till level 6, of course, before we start running our mouths, because that can very quickly turn over.
We may have just cursed it as Duck is in a little bit of trouble. Has to burn a barrier already. The heal used by Muffin. The flash forward from Fails. Oh, can't get the damage in. Turret shots are going to land, but it's not going to do enough damage. Now Muffin may be the one in trouble. That is the flash. Didn't expend it. The last hit. First blood goes over to Fails. Duck tries to shoot the arrow from behind the screen, but cannot catch Bobby. It's a clean pickup for the SGR bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's realistically just... okay.
That's rough, buddy. Vertigo is here, is going to pop the egg passive at the very least, but great positioning from Mags and a little bit over-aggressive from Fortnite means that That's just another great 2v2 from SGR.
I mean, they continue it, right? It's so well played here from SGR in this early game, as they will march themselves forward in this game after we talked about, you know, nothing happening. And
Fortnite, I don't think you want this trade. Vertigo is here, though, and Girly Pop doesn't have a ton of mana left, and not enough mana to get any sort of lethal. They'll gift the kill over to Fortnite. Nicely played there. Good return gank from Vertigo, punishing the greed from Girly Pop on the Anivia.
Yeah, definitely should have just backed. Has the teleport, like, maybe greeting for... Actually, something that's really interesting is going Dark Seal. You don't see that very often, if at all, on Anivias, because you just want to rush your components really hard. Because, again, the faster you get your Roa, the earlier it stacks, so... But it will be the Dark Seal purchase here, which, of course, can be okay.
It's one of the higher value items per gold value in the game. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt your AP, but again, would have definitely like to have seen the Nivea just reset there, especially with no egg. I think you can maybe make the argument that if you have egg there, they don't have enough damage to kill you, and then you can walk out with your next phase rush proc, but again, we see this overstay happen, so common. It's really not like a big deal. It could be infinitely worse, right? Like it could be like, oh, you went for a ward when you're 2 HP in the jungler and you walk into their jungler on their camp. So I've definitely seen and casted worse. So
-1.
You know,
that's rough.
Yeah, -1. And that's what I mean by casting worse, okay? Don't miss your cannons, alright? Miss your cannons.
You never know when the camera's going to be on you. You have to get your cannons properly.
That's right. It's very important, actually, so make sure you're getting your cannons, folks.
Fortnite gonna eat a little bit of damage here. Does take the Frozen Path to get a little bit into Girly Pop's face. The Glacial Storms are doing so much damage to the Lissandra, and Mags is in the area again. Another stun lands, and there's the hop in. Mags will pick that up. Vertigo looking to try and trade back, but now stuck in the 1v2. When becomes Lightning connects onto Girly Pop, but does not want to dash into this 1v2. Is just forced to walk away. And nice positioning from Mags again, and over-aggression from Fortnite.
Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate here. Fortnite has now gone in twice and taking so much HP, and it kind of just gets baited in. So well played by SGR again to kind of build that blueprint up and capitalize on it once more this game.
Nice sidestep by Havoc. Still takes the back half of that twofold Hex, but not feeling too stressed about it as Vertigo, taking advantage of how aggressive Mags has been, is going to look for a red buff invade here.
Yeah, we'll be able to get this one up. A late back from Mags will unfortunately lose him his red buff here as we'll actually see.
Spotted though. Level 6 hit on the Xin Zhao means Mags is a little bit more cautious about going in, especially with Fortnite having the first move. Arcane Barrage coming in. Muffin taken under half HP, but so is Fails. The AD carry still feeling pretty healthy, but Duck not level 6 yet. Just looking for a little bit more pressure. Fails. Mispositions. Gets caught by the hail of arrows, and Duck will take the kill.
Yeah, walking down there when Duck is got blight stacks on you and you're so low, just not the best choice. And Duck will actually find himself a kill. So all is actually exactly even here in the bot lane, save for 2 CS. So 3 CS at this point. So nice bounce back from death cards around their bot lane here. To kind of keep themselves in the lane and competitive. As in the mid lane, Fortnite, kind of a unfortunate trade here.
Yeah, this is kind of just the Anivia matchup. If you can't outrange her, she is just going to bully you. The real solace that you have is that combos like that do take a lot of mana, as you can see. Girly Pop already pretty much at their limit, and even though there's a gank being set up here, I don't know how much help she's actually going to be able to provide. The Frozen Path means that Fortnite will just walk away and get a nice little heal from Muffin, too.
Yeah, we will see some help from Muffin as well in the mid lane. Say hello. Help the mid laner out. As Anivia in the mid lane, of course, taking a reset. As it will be the Infernal Drake. Wow, great voice crack there, Austin. Anyways.
I wasn't going to mention it.
You know,
while that dragon is spawned, it's not started up yet, so Vertigo's going to take advantage of that and grab these topside grubs. While they haven't been super advantageous to the team that gets them, they are still, you know, a little buffer at the very least, and it means that even with Mags knowing that Deathguard's jungler is on the top side, not gonna end up going for anything. Is Fortnite potentially in trouble? Does have the frozen path, but it's right into the glacial storm. Has to use the flash. Nice wall positioning there from Girly Pop, and with the mid laner forced out and flash force, that's gonna be Dragon started for Resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, SGR is showing up to play, at least in this game 1. You know, they're making so many good moves here. But
nice smite timing from Mags. Will not let that one get stolen away. Smite doing quite a bit more damage nowadays. Much harder to see those various piercing arrow steals. Fails. Looking for some aggression, but the team is not behind you yet. Vertigo is in the area, and that means that the support will fall. Mags is forced to flash away afterwards as well. Nice positioning from Fortnite, and just a little over aggression from the Karma. Just feeling too safe.
yeah, I mean, this is kind of the issue when you play Enchanters, is you don't really get to get away with things like that. You will kind of just die.
Careful.
Yeah, you do have to be far more careful, especially when you're by yourself, like no escort. You can maybe make, like, the excuse if you are getting escorted, like, oh, you know? Unfortunately, that didn't
if
happen
I die
there.
here, it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, just didn't happen there, and gets very punished for it, as it turns out, but still,
At the very least,
again,
I understand the mentality that Fails was going for there. Mags was in the area, Bobby wasn't too far behind, but just a little bit too far forward. They weren't close enough that you could actually take advantage of the engaged tools being burned onto you. And with the great wave positioning from Muffin, it meant that Mags just couldn't get anywhere close.
yeah, I mean, it'd be like that sometimes, you know? And again, oh, actually,
You think it
teleport
don't
from
be, but it do
behind.
be is Duck getting a little low here on the bottom side. Fortnite is in the area. We'll get the root down onto Bobby. There's the cleanse, but the ultimate comes right after the tomb to seal his fate. Fails will be next to go. A nice flash though to try and get away. Muffin will burn the heal to see if Fortnite can catch up. In the meantime, Vertigo's holding off Mags and Girly Pop 1v2. So suddenly I don't think Fortnite feels as comfortable taking this trade anymore. Mags wants to keep it going, but Fortnite with those tier 1 boots just brown paper bagging his way out of there. And nice little teleport play for Death Cards on the bottom side.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Death Cards are doing a great job at the very least of answering back to plays. Actually, will be no mana on the Nivea here in the mid lane, so does need to respect this Lissandra a little bit more. We'll end up being A-okay, though.
Despite the kills that have gone over to Mags, it is actually Fortnite picking up that first item first, has the Blackfire Torch fully completed, and Girly Pop is feeling the pain in this lane a little bit now.
Yes, definitely is doing so. But also got to consider, right, did set yourself behind a little bit here with the Darksteel. Also, the Anivia was trying to back for the Rogue guaranteed. It just got canceled, so... not at all. Like, they definitely shouldn't feel that bad about it right now. I think they should be pretty happy with this timing. It'll be like a close to a 22-minute, basically, Roa. So, again, not horrible. Could be better. Could be worse. But if it was going to be worse, it's usually much worse. So fails.
Senses something is in position in the right spot, but Bobby really is not aggressively pushing that way. Has the arcane shift, but does not have the flash, or does not even burn the flash. Had it, saved it properly there, and Vertigo will just pick up that kill for free.
Hey, we should learn from Bobby, okay? It's actually really, it's a really good skill of knowing when and when not to flash, because flash is such an important thing. Fortnite really needs to stop trading in this Glacial
Fortnite,
Storm.
I think, could just die here, actually. One
more
more
he's
Glacial
dead.
Spear has to use the Glacial Tomb. Muffin is in the area as well, but with the heal, is it enough? Suddenly, Girly Pop is stunned. Does have the egg, so Blackfire Torch is going to burn down just enough. The shield from Fails, keeping the egg alive. The ultimate, the True Shot Barrage, not able to connect onto Fortnite. Max is in the area, though, and looking to clean up. Dashes in, picks up Fortnite. Vertigo's going to knock it back out, and Max will just be forced to defend the egg, but nice little support robes and a great jungle gank coming in for SGR. Again, they're coming to play.
Oh my goodness, that was so close to the mid lane, and yeah, honestly, this is a closer game than I may have expected it to be, at least game 1. Again, like I said, this is basically time for SGR to really start getting things going, because they are in contention of that 4th seed. If they don't get 4th seed, they're out for the season, so they really have to start turning their season around, start playing cleanly. And so far, it's been Mags kind of leading the charge, being in the right place at the right time, although Bobby
gonna land, plus the shots, every bit of damage comes down onto Bobby. And again, just aggressive positioning. You play Ezreal, you feel so safe, but you get caught, you're still just gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, that was also a great Chains of Corruption to predict the backstep there from Bobby. And again, even though you're playing Ezreal, you are still very pickable. Like, that is a very big, like, real thing. The Ezreal kind of gives you that, like, fake confidence that you're like, oh, I can get out of just about anything. Well, unfortunately, in this case, that's not true.
Yeah, I got
And
Arcane
that
Shift,
pays
I'll
the
be
price.
safe.
Yeah, I got
even
Arcane Shift,
saw-
don't worry. But also, he
even
had
saw nothing
Flash
on the
there,
ward.
so he could have definitely flashed it. Opts not to, though.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see Bobby make a little bit of a recovery here, because as much as SGR have been making good plays, Mags has been in the right spot, Girly Pop has been advantageous in a lot of these trades, it is still a gold lead over to Death Cards. They're up about 1,500 gold thanks to some play from their bottom lane, and something we haven't talked about yet, but that massive CS gap in the top side, 40 in favor of Akira, and once this Aurora starts taking part in team fights, things are going to get a lot scarier. As Dragon is being started up here. 3,000 already for death cards, and I just don't think there's a chance for SGR to actually come in and contest this as much as they want to. Mags still looking to go a bit forward, but this should just be a disengage. Death cards don't want to let him go. Mags is going to look for the all-in instead. Galio's coming in. The heroic entrance gets the knock-up onto 2, but isn't enough. Mags down to 1 HP, and Akira's now in the fight, looking to get a bit of extra damage onto Bobby Denise on the other side of the fight. There goes Fortnite, a double kill with the Lissandra. Vertigo chasing down Girly Pop and the Anivia. Duck will send an arrow through Havoc's head. Bobby gets picked up on the back half, and now Girly Pop on this Anivia stuck under turret. It's a clean 4 for nothing. Four death cards, as Akira's just going to teleport right back up top and keep working on that tower.
I mean, low-key, they kind of have no damage, which is really not where you want to be right now, as Anivia will get a nice stun, but again, no mana to really respond more than that. But as I was saying, right, like, your success kind of like rises and falls off of how good this Ezreal's doing, and now the Ezreal is 0-4, right? Like, he's not going to get that much value in these team fights, especially as an AD carry who is a Triforce Mirror Mana builder. So the the longest that this takes, don't know where my brain is today, but the longer it takes, the worse it's going to be here for SGR, because again, biggest part of their damage is this Ezreal, especially because the Anivia doesn't have enough mana at the moment to really start
nice
Crystal
wall.
Storm forever.
Green Pop Duck's gonna be forced to flash away, and the barrier as well. Girly Pop on this Anivia has been dangerous, flashing forward, it's gonna land the stun, and I think Duck is just gonna die. The true shot barrage from downtown! Bobby will pick up the shutdown gold, and that's gonna accelerate him towards that man immune.
Hey, that's good. Nice little shutdown here for the Ezreal, as I was just talking about being such a big part of their damage. It seems to be true, so W getting some gold there, but they are going to lose their bot tier 1, which bit unfortunate. They already did lose their top tier 1, so could be worse, could be giving up first Drake, but what can you get done with this Rift Herald? It's actually Kira just saying hello, just poking out this Galio.
The Havoc taking quite a bit of damage, but the Galio is fairly tanky. Akira still looking for the chase down, has the Between Worlds as well, but is not going to opt to burn it here. Girly Pop looking to trade in onto Fortnite, who is suddenly a lot tankier with those tier 2s and that Haunted Guys in inventory. Maybe not tanky enough for this chase down, as Fails is on the way as well. Fortnite, you're caught between a rock and a hard place. Can you manage to navigate your way out? Mantra Q comes through, a bit of extra damage on that magic shield. Fortnite flashes in, but the Michaelis is right there for Fails. No chance of taking down this Carva and Anivia, just trying to keep this one kited out. But now Duck and Muffin are in the area. They just didn't have the damage to take down Fortnite, and now they're the ones in trouble. Fails forced immediately to flash away, and that's a lot of resources burned for SGR to not get anything out of the play.
It is kind of going bad to worse here for SGR, because at the end of the day, every play they're making like this, they're kind of just losing time, they're losing resources, right? And they can't convert, meaning it is the worst case scenarios. Now their mid-tier 1 is going down as well. So, death cards having a shaky early game, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. They're up 5,000 gold even here off of that tower going down. As, the Varus also pretty good at the mid game, as it turns out, and we are actually potentially going to see the Mirror Mana first proc here for the Varus, which is usually not the case. Usually it's Ezreal getting that one finished first.
Bobby's
But
got his. Bobby finishes it up now, so that should complete pretty
oh,
darn
perfect. We're
soon.
good. We're good.
So the
I was
universe
worried.
stays intact. I do see Duck with the two longswords and that pickaxe in inventory, which tells me at the very least that there could be a Serpent's Fang coming up. As Vertigo's gonna get bonked on the head here, but is confident to just walk forward. Duck and Muffin in the area. Mags feeling a little bit in trouble, but nice use of the clone there. Gets away. Good reaction time to get away from that ultimate.
Man, playing against Wukong sometimes when you're like have such important skill shots is so annoying, especially when you know you're playing against a player that knows how to use it well. Because you'll see a lot of Wukongs waste their clone as mobility sometimes, when in reality they just need to save it. But Akira is getting gone on up top.
Taking a little bit of damage, but this is almost akin to a tank versus tank fight, as Akira has gone the double Haunting Guys build alongside the Conqueror, just able to heal up so much. Havoc in trouble. There's the ultimate. It has to be flashed away from that between worlds. So scary when you get low on health.
Yeah, I mean, Havoc should be, in theory, winning this matchup. I know it's brutal early game because you're playing against an Aurora as a melee champ, but you are the anti-mage. Like, that is literally your job. And he's just struggling here against the Aurora. Down 40 CS, down basically an entire item at this point. Herald used mid.
Does this kill the turret?
Oh,
Just barely. The last auto from those couple of minions makes it enough. Galio, in this top lane matchup, you would think would be able to at the very least tank the resources and the damage, but Akira has been playing this lane so well. I think going for the Bloodletter's second item here, especially versus this MR stack, is problematic, as Duck caught out here again. Great positioning from Mags and from Girly Pop. Muffin on the run, forced to use the wave defensively. Vertigo over the wall, but how much can the Xin Zhao really do? As now Anivia's here, waiting for that wall to come up. Beautifully placed, forces the flash on a Muffin. Vertigo has his in a couple of seconds. It's not available just yet. He's forced to use the Crescent Guard. Fortnite's in. They're going to look to try and turn this around and make something out of the play. Nice use of that self-ultimate from Fortnite. Will stay alive and avoid the heroic entrance, but the damage comes through and it's just not enough. Akira taking up plenty of damage now, hops over the wall. The root's still there keeping vision, but Akira will survive. Only a couple of loss,
was so long.
Yeah, but a great play for SGR. Even down in gold, they're taking great fights.
I mean, okay, so what I was about to say after, the initial play broke down, but it kind of went longer than I expected, is Anivios can just 1v9 games by pure zone control, and that is an exact perfect example of how the champ works and why it's so frustrating to play against sometimes. Is she places her Glacial Storm right in the perfect choke there to cut off everyone from coming in to help. So it's just a complete disaster for death cards as they are just forced to watch as the Anivia slowly chips away and Fortnite kind of out of position there. It's a great play again from SGR. They're looking like they're trying their best to, get themselves back in this game. But also get themselves back in the right place of the standings here as they continue, having some decent plays. But I will say this game, a little bit back and forth.
Yeah. And I think it really has been the vision plays for Resurgence here that have been working so well for them, as the ultimate is going to stop Duck from that recall. It is just there to spot the Baron, but you'll never feel bad about a little extra damage. But it has been the vision plays for Resurgence. They've been just making sure that anytime they're making a play, they have 2 or 3 members out of vision. They're making a good catch, and it's how we've seen Duck die both of these times. Or the first time at the very least was in that lane in the 2v2, but it's just how they've been able to catch out these members. It's how they caught out Fortnite. It's how they catch out Duck now. And it's just making life more difficult for death cards, even with this gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well, something, to really mention is maybe they don't really have the best comp at dealing with the Anivia. Like, the Anivia might ultimately be something they're going to have to try and problem solve later. I think they have great pick tools, but I don't necessarily know if they trust themselves to pick out the Anivia, because again, the Anivia is kind of deceptively tanky because of the Roa.
There's also the Michaelis behind her.
So, you know, but so far,
Go. Gonna eat the stun here. Girly Pop just trying to get the damage in. Gonna force Vertigo to slow down. There's the hail of arrows and immediately cleansed away. And there's that engage tool suddenly gone. Now what else can Death Guards have in the tank to take advantage of this cooldown?
shout out, by the way, to Muffin, or not Muffin, sorry, Fails. Sorry.
First set of McHale's into a comp that has like 2 bits of CC that they rely on.
You're building correctly. It has been so many times that McHale's is not bought, but actually engaged.
Kira between worlds into the backline. It's a great wave onto 2, and Fortnite has the flank angle as well. Fails is instantly popped out, and now Vertigo can dash into the front line. And without Bobby, who's trying to deal with Akira in the 1v1, flashes forward, does get the auto. Muffins will pick up the Anivia on the other side of the fight, but Bobby picks up a big shutdown. Vertigo wants to keep the play going. It's 4 versus 3. How much can SGR get away from this? And it's not very much. Havoc is immediately taken down. Duck with the fusing arrow again takes a chunk out of mag. They will just be forced to back off. And what looked like a decent start for Resurgence is a great flank from Death Cards.
I mean, they did it. Like I said, if they can find the answer to the Anivia, right, also didn't help that Fails got completely destroyed there. But if they can find the answer into, you know, the Anivia here, it's so easy for SGR to just fall over, right? Because right now, the Anivia is kind of carrying their damage. And the Anivia going down into the egg really early there means they run out of damage. It's actually...
Go, still looking to move forward. They know that Fails doesn't have any sums. They will just take down the Karma. Max forced to flash away as Vertigo just wants to keep going. The movement speed for the Nami means that this Zin can just run forward.
Alright, well, honestly, again, another mistake here from Fails. But honestly, we'll get a pass because of the Miguel's first buy. I won't lie. So you get a bit of a pass. Just because this is the first M600 support I've seen build a Mikhail's first.
It feels
Ever?
like something that we've talked about a lot this season, just like the support itemization. And part of that is because I play support, so the itemization matters to me a lot. But it's also so important for the team.
I mean, yeah, like it is just really important. And you also have to consider like the value that you get out of things like Moonstone is actually, if you look at the numbers, is actually really low unless you're playing ARAM, and it turns out on Summoner's Rift you are not playing ARAM.
Weirdly
So the
enough,
value
you're not
you
on the
get is
Howling
actually
Abyss.
incredibly low unless you're on a champion that actually is utilizing like something like a Soraka where your W's on such a short cooldown, you can actually get super Moonstone value. Whereas something as Karma where your shield's kind of on a longer CD. Kira?
Turn around instantly from Akira, looking for the Between Worlds, but this Anivia is so tanky. How do you actually get through this health bar? Akira already taken under half, and Girly Pop is just going to continue the chase. Pops Between Worlds, Akira looking to just get out, but the chase down, the slows, the crowd control.
Oh,
nice use of the ball. Akira just barely manages to walk over it. But now stuck on the wrong side of the map, potentially in a bit of trouble, taking advantage of the vision pit there. Just manages to sneak away from the play.
That wall was so tragic. Just pushes her out of range to allow her to get away. Safety as now. True Shot Barrage will miss.
Just barely.
Don't think it's going to do that much damage. That's like 600 damage on an Aurora.
But it would cancel the recall. And Anivia was right there.
That is true. They could have maybe gotten the kill on the Anivia, but like I said, things have kind of gone bad to worse here for SGR as they keep having these decent plays, but it's just Death Cards being a bit more cohesive. Vertigo going for an invade here.
Playing a little aggressive, but has the team behind him, so he's not feeling too bad. Speaking on support itemization, just really quick here, I also like the choices from Muffin here. You'll see so many times, I am also guilty of this when you're playing Nami, you just rush first item mandate every single game because the item is so good on your champion. But in games like this, when you have such a high damage composition, especially one with 2 AP carries in it, you don't really need the magic damage. I'll put that on pause for a second as this Baron, he has started up. In the meantime, Girly Pop did take that bottom side turret. Baron still being held aggro here just barely as SGR are going to use both their teleports and will zone off the Baron, but they pay a pretty hefty price for it.
Well, they get the Anivia teleport out as will it actually be SGR. I would really kind of like to see FGR maybe force out some teleports of their own here. Just start up the Baron. You had the Anivia. Plus, you're behind. You have really nothing to lose at this point. You're about, 2 minutes away from Seoul. So at this point, where you are looking, 7k down, you probably are going to need to force something soon. Otherwise, you're about to lose Cloud Soul. So hopefully they can find something soon. Utilize
looking at
that
these
maybe to get some
members.
positioning around the Drake.
Zinzao with the Cloud Soul, Aurora with the Cloud Soul, even to a certain extent, Varus with the Cloud Soul, the extra movement speed passively, not just on that ultimate, is so good for these champions.
Yeah, I mean, move speed, as it turns out, is a stat that not a single person complains about. So
It's really good. There's a reason why for a long time Cloud Soul and Cloud Dragons have been like, I think the highest Soul win rate dragon, it's 90-something%, and part of that is you're getting Soul, you're probably winning the game, but like, it helps you win the game harder.
hey, look, consider it to something like Chemtech, which is like 70%. So, so yes, while like the win rate stat is like, oh, kind of fake, it's not really, because you also like look at the disparity. But yes, as it turns out,
Just
move
think
speed's
about
a
it in
great stat.
context.
Move speed's a great stat. No one really complains about having extra move speed until they get to absurd levels of move speed, which is never happening in a real game of League of Legends, unless they bring back Zeri.
I've seen a couple of Mayhem 80 carries complain about tap dancer movement speed, but that's very niche, and this is not, in fact, Era Mayhem, as we talked about earlier. This is Summoner's Rift. It's Vertigo taking some aggressive positioning here. Kira, in the meantime, will take that tier 2 top turret, but the positioning kind of in favor of SGRs. They're going to start to clear out some vision on this top side.
Yeah, won't lie. SGR are at least fighting for some priority here, which is nice to see. I would really like to see them, again, they are going to start it, so now they're putting some pressure here on, but they will see that
they
this is
have to start the Baron. Tier 2 turret done in bottom lane as well as in top. Vertigo will spot out this Baron take. Already down to 8k. The Baron damage is high. Can Vertigo get in, though? When Becomes Light is going to land. They have vision in the pit. Mags is trying to keep him out as best as he can. Looking for the all-in instead, but it's just going to end up dying. And now the Baron's down to 2k, and Vertigo's in the pit alone. We'll smite that one away. A huge collapse from SGR, and DC will take advantage.
I mean, it is desperate. They don't have a lot of damage at the moment. They're down so much gold. They're about to lose Soul. You might as well Hail Mary something, but maybe not even the best Hail Mary attempt I've seen. But nonetheless, Death Cards...
Hail Mary that went over the end zone.
Death Cards, even despite early game mistakes, just simply don't care and will force their win anyways, as it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, SGR did have to do something there. The side lanes were not in their favor. They had to make something happen, whether it was the Baron force or recall and give up Baron pressure. They made the call. I just think they needed to stick one way or another. They couldn't have taken the fight there, as Mags was already fairly low on HP, and I like the attempt at the all-in, but trust in your smites. Just stick with the trying to outsmite the enemy jungler. Ego it a little bit.
I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, right, even if they get that Baron, they probably all die, so maybe for the better here, at the very least. They do lose Soul out of it, but they do give themselves some time, because it does mean their entire team doesn't die, so they can actually clear here, get some gold back in their pocket. This is me turbo coping, by the way. I'm like convinced this game is over, but
yeah, this game is feeling pretty Death Cards favored. They're near 10,000 gold ahead with Soul.
This is me coping, okay? Of all things, right, they could have Hail Married the Baron, then all died, and then immediately lost the game. But that didn't happen. So we're living in a timeline where they at least get one more fight, which, if you're SGR, you like those odds, because it means your Nexus hasn't fallen yet. But
yeah,
if you're
they can play
Death
around
Card,
the Elven, they can play around Baron, they can
care.
play around side lane picks. Zakira potentially in trouble here. There's the instant Cyclone. Zakira looking to get over the wall, but the ultimate not in the right position. Has the flash. Max is going to follow. But across the veil, the movement speed with the Cloud Soul. Akira's just so damn quick. Mags gets the red buff tag on him. The red buff's gonna run out. Akira with one more smack to the back. They will pick up that kill, but they're gonna lose so much on the top side to do it. True Shot Barrage doesn't manage to find a lot of targets. Stuck taken down under half HP, but has the Nami next to him. The inhibitor will go down, and Death Cards continue their death march.
Hey, I mean, yes, they lose Akira in the bot lane, but they do get this top tier, top tier 3 plus the inhibitor tower. My god, my brain just refuses to cooperate with me today. As, feeling like a Monday, but it's a Thursday. Happens. But yeah, I mean, trading your, pretty annoying Aurora for an inhibitor. Maybe not the best choice here from death cards. Yes, again, they do get that inhib, but right now it's basically just free gold over to SGR unless they can make do with that elsewhere. That was, again, gold going back in the pocket of SGR. So SGR, would be happy with that trade, I think, because, again, it could have been much worse. They did invest quite a bit for it. The Flash ultimate from Mags, the most definitely, meaning much less, as it's literally back up, but the Flash, really important, so we'll see if that has any impact. 3 minutes away from the Elder, 2.5 minutes from the Baron. The Baron buff, of course, has fallen off, which means for SGR, they can kind of just wait clear with the Anivia. Oh my goodness. Ooh.
Takes a lot of damage from that True Shot Barrage. Yeah, we've been seeing it hit the tankier characters, but when it connects on a squishy, that ability is going to do quite a bit of damage. Smuffins does have the healing, though, so we'll manage to stay alive. Has their own kills now, alongside the Shirelias and the Echoes of Helia. Pop taking a little bit of poke here as Duck, now with the near full builds, just sitting on that Doran's Blade still in that last inventory slot. Turns out, Lethality Varus still does a lot of damage, weirdly enough.
Yeah. Nerfs be damned, alright?
It was late game focused nerfs, too.
Yeah, Here we are, and Anivia almost
got
it. So...
Yeah, this is nerfed. This is nerfed, by the way.
Yeah, that was nerfed. If that wasn't nerf bars, the Nivia's dead there for sure, but...
That's insane to think about, as Mags is going to take a chunk over the wall as well, and Akira and Vertigo are just going to start forcing their way into the base. Mid lane inhibitor turret falls, the inhib will be the next to go, and they're just going to rotate right over to this bottom lane turret that has the wave waiting for them. This is just great macro from death cards. They are playing the waves beautifully, they're stacking them up, they're crashing them together. Mags forced to look for a potential engage here, but Akira just takes him down with the Between Worlds across the way. Bobby forced to cleanse and flash, but the piercing arrow is still going to connect and do plenty of damage. Fortnite uses the ultimate defensively, but the health bars are still there for death cards. SGR just cannot get through the heals, the sustain, the poke from the death cards. Brotherpot flashes forward but can't find the stun. Muffin playing a little aggressive here, maybe a little too aggressive, as Duck in the meantime will take down Fails, but it's going to be his own support traded for it, but they're just going to look to end the game off a bit. Duck misses the Chains of Corruption entirely. Havoc's going to burn the stopwatch, but I think it's just to buy a 1.5 seconds of extra time, as SGR are unfortunately going to go down in this game 1 to some great play from death cards, and now they're looking for completing a full-on reverse sweep to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, I mean, for SGR, I think there's a lot of questions you need to ask yourselves as you go, prep for this game 2. Havoc picked the Galio here, had no impact on it, was actually down to the Aurora the entire game. That's problem number 1 for me. Problem number 2 is you also early picked Ezreal. Plenty of 80 carries were still up in this draft, Like, there were plenty of things you could have picked. But you opted for the Ezreal, who not only was able to get an early game lead, but then immediately tossed it over by over-aggression twice in a row. Once by himself. Of course, one was kind of just mispositioned as Fails was in the right place, but he, Bobby was not. Mags had some great pathing in the early game, was in the right spots a lot of the time. But when your team, especially, your bot lane and your top lane are falling down so much this hard, what can you actually do as a jungler? Girly Palp on the Anivia, I think as well, had a decent Anivia game here, but...
Made a couple of fantastic plays.
Yeah.
The walls were positioned really well, except for that one time in bottom lane, but... Akira with the movement speed and the Aurora. I don't hate the Galio pick as much. You're meant to lose with grace on that pick, especially into an Aurora top. You're not going to be hard winning the lane past level 7, but you lose with grace. You hope that your jungler is getting more impact done on the rest of the map. And while Mags made a lot of good plays in mid lane and kept Girly Pop kind of in the game, Vertigo was kind of just going bar for bar with him and just made life really difficult, as Bobby and Fails couldn't get enough of an isolated lead either. It just felt like the map was stretched a little too thin for SGR, and death cards just were really good at taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, death card also just not being miffed by literally anything, right? Fails, they pick up the bot lane kill right onto Muffin, who, was, that was kind of the early snowball here for Bobby, but it didn't matter. They bounced back from that, right? Again, some problems, right, with Fortnite getting caught out in the mid lane a couple times, but they bounced back, and that is a great sign for Death Cards moving into playoffs, right? Because that means not only are you mental resilient, even though it was early game, right? So it didn't really matter, but you're still mentally resilient to bounce back from those moments. You're also able to put pressure, even though you're in a behind position in the game. And they did so excellently, even though their comp might have been able to struggle into the Galio. Like we mentioned, the Galio was just such a non-factor. They didn't even get to that point in
It's
that
the
match.
issue with the tank versus the range top lane matchup. Sometimes you lose with grace, and sometimes you lose hard enough that even though you're getting some advantages on the rest of the map, you just don't have that kind of power. And for SGR, now you have to question, what are we doing for draft for game number 2? And that's a question we're going to answer when we get to the other side of this break. We'll see you all in a couple of minutes when we get into that draft for game 2 between Death Cards and SG Resurgence. See you there. Welcome back, everybody. We are getting ourselves ready to jump into the draft for game number 2. Death Cards have taken a commanding lead here, 1-0 in the series. And SG Resurgence now have to make the 2-0 comeback if they want to keep their playoff hopes healthy and alive. They'll still be alive if they end up taking a loss here, but it's starting to feel a little bit rough.
Yeah, of course. Playoff hopes aren't dead if they lose here today. And of course, Death Cards is the number 1 seed for a reason. Kind of showcasing that a bit last game. But again, this is crunch time here for teams that are outside and like just on the outside trying to work their way into the top 4 for playoffs, right? Like any slip up here, right, also can mean some devastating things later down the line, right? Like this could be kind of the start of your mental collapse because you're like, oh, well, we really needed to win today. That's when the pressure is melted. But then you mentally beat yourself up because you lost today, and then it just, is a chain reaction, and then you go on and you don't make playoffs. So again, SGR just need to remind themselves that yes, today is important. Every game is important, some more than others. This one is pretty important. But it's still not the end of the world. It's not like you're going to lose your playoffs, your playoff chances here today. Just need to lock in, take some deep breaths, maybe reevaluate, maybe don't overplay, don't get over aggressive, respect your vision lines, and just play the game slow, calm, calculated. Will be the Zehen first pick here, who still flexible in the jungle until next patch, who is getting absolutely headshot, so don't worry about him in the jungle at all coming up. But it will be the J4 getting picked into it.
I like J4 as just a potentially blind jungle. It's just good with a lot of team comps in general. You can make it work with any number of mid laners. Orianna's still available. Syndra does make good work out of it. Yunara likes having fish in a barrel to shoot at, so this is a great start.
Yeah, I mean, Death Cards can go something like the Corki, which has been pretty common, into both Yunara, but it will actually be the Caitlyn coming through. Me personally, I don't actually hate this Caitlyn matchup as Yunara, because I think for the most part, Yunara can kind of just go even in a lot of lanes and not really care all that much. Ooh. But the Veigar, you know what? I don't really care about the ADC. I don't really care about the AD carry matchup anymore. Veigar is one of the most underrated champions right now. Get on this champ. I swear. He's so good. And it has nothing to do about, oh, he's infinite scaling mage. No, it's one button in particular, and it's Cage. Cage gets so much value because, yes, champions can have mobility, but Cage is such a nuisance because it lasts forever. Oh, I say forever, but, metaphorically
it lasts a long time and is not on a big cooldown.
Yeah, lasts a long time, stunts you for a long time, and if you're trapped inside it, unless you have flash, you are essentially J4 Cage, because if you stun yourself, you're just as good as dead as a carry, right? You'll live it as a tank, but as a carry, you are basically dead. So it's basically just a much lower cooldown J4 ultimate, but also has the capability of genuinely being zone control and zone denial. But TF actually being a bit of an interesting one, was played today in EMEA Masters by Witchcraft. Did not go to plan.
Pick here. I love this pick though. This is fantastic. Morgana versus the Twist of Fate and the Bard provides so much value, and Morgana's another one of those champions that has been criminally underutilized. Black Shield is an insanely good ability.
Yes. Really good into point and click CC, really good into Bard as it turns out as well. But the issue, of course, is it can be a little hard both to land your bindings and B, use your ult, which is actually her biggest point of, difficulty, is actually pressing your R button and either A, living long enough to get the stun, or B, even getting in range to use it in the first place. But we'll see if that happens. Muffin on the Nami was definitely not that bad. You do also have the Caitlyn synergy, so say you do hit a bind, right? That's going to be a lot of damage going into whoever because they're going to get trapped guaranteed. And unlike some of the harder pairings like a Nico, where if you don't necessarily hit your E through a minion, Caitlyn doesn't really have all that much time to react. The binding always gives you enough time to react to place down your trap. So you don't necessarily need to worry about that too much. But it will be the Zahungle as we get the double Darken duo here. Top jungle.
Yeah, and that provides, I think, a lot of issues for SGR. That stun card can only go on one person. The Bard ulti can only get so much value, and there's a lot of backline dive with this Darken duo, but there's also a lot of backline pressure with Fortnite and Duck on these long-range, almost artillery mages, kind of artillery AD carry in terms of Caitlyn, just with the range that she provides. She's not going to be shredding a tank, but also, who's going to be that tanky on this Resurgence side? Urgot will get health bar, but with the new Lord Dominus Regard getting that Giant Slayer passive back, you don't really care that much about them having extra HP, and Jarvan, to get a lot of value, you want to see him build some bruiser items, some HP, but it ends up being the same thing.
Oh, I mean, we also have to consider that with Caitlyn, even though she doesn't kill tanks all that fast, kind of pseudo misconception. She's definitely not bad like a Jen or an Ezreal.
Yeah,
but
she's not a non.
She's definitely not
killer,
Vayne.
but...
She's definitely not Vayne. She's not Kog'Maw.
Not Vayne,
right?
Kog'Maw.
But when she is late game, right, she does scale really well. Like, it's just the biggest point of her that kind of really is her mid game. Her mid game is really brutal because you're low attack speed AD carry in general, especially with how you're building right now. Is you're just in general pretty low attack speed. Unless you opt for the Yuntels build, which is utilized into more tankier teams because you need the attack speed more than like the flat, like the Collector. Well, probably a Collector game here for the Caitlyn, in my opinion, is probably what's going to be the choice. But we'll see. Also, we have seen Lethal Tempo Collector, which is kind of on the up and up in pro play, but we'll see if that sticks.
The Collector is such a bait item. I think it just doesn't do enough.
But we'll see what happens here. But the mid game for Caitlyn is really brutal because you don't have enough crit to make your low attack speed feel great.
If you're building attack speed, you don't have the AD for your headshots.
Yes, and you don't really have enough AD to, when you don't crit, to also have that like impact and oomph behind your headshots, which is why your mid game is just so brutal. And again, it's really nothing to do with anything other than attack speed, because if she just simply had more attack speed, which she used to, all the way back when you built Shiv first item, Shiv IE, being
back in the day,
all the way back, right? Caitlyn didn't really need to worry about that because she's building a Zeal item first item, right? Like that was a really big thing. You would buy a BF sword and then just go Shiv and just two-shot people, even in the mid game, but we are no longer in 2014. We are in 2026.
Used to be so good. It used to be so insanely
we are in
good.
2026, and completely different meta now. As of course, it does depend here on getting that attack speed up, and whether or not this is gonna be the lethal tempo. Who's to say? I'm gonna suspect that this is going to be the Collector coming out, but let's see.
I'm really hoping not.
Bites down on it.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a pause going on in-game, which is why we are not getting into game just yet. We're waiting on that to resolve to make sure we can get you guys in-game with as little delays as quickly as possible. But it gives us a little bit of extra time to talk about the draft. We are seeing quite a number of champions that we don't often see, especially in roles that we don't often see them. TF is not the super common pick nowadays. Morgana and Veigar, both of us really like these picks. They're criminally underrated, but like we said, they both also have some kind of ease of use issues. Veigar, if you do mess up that cage positioning, the cooldown is not long, but it's certainly not short, and you can definitely be taken advantage of, especially by champions like Bard and like Jarvan, who can really get on top of you fairly quickly.
Yeah, well, the Morgana, like I said, great into the Bard. Also great into TF, because you just, Black Shield this. But we are going to get into the game here, game number 2 of our best of 3 series. Now, Death Card's pretty dominant one in game 1. See if they can continue that, despite some early game mistakes, of course, and some unnecessary fighting, which is common here in Immortal.
Yeah, we're trying to see if Resurgence can live up to their namesake and resurge back into this series, or if they're going to be struggling as Havoc, with the E level 1, just going to get a little poke onto Akira, who has not leveled any abilities yet, so not looking for any sort of trade back, but I expect this to be a fairly slow early game as well. I think the big thing to look out for is that Ignite up there on Havoc in the top lane. This Urgot is going to be looking to apply as much pressure as early as possible.
Yeah, and Havoc has a lot to answer for from last game. Really needs to show up here for Stasis if they're going to have a chance of winning the series, because it's definitely not present in the Galio, or on the Galio last game. See if the Urgot is a bit more his style, as it will actually be D-Blade start to help punish out that Aatrox even more with that Ignite. W start here for
Auto
TF.
cancel. It's a little bit of extra damage in there. Fortnite not feeling too bad about taking the early damage, already spamming out the laughter, just trying to win the mental war in the early. Both top laners are going to hit level 2. And like you said, this is a matchup that Havoc gets to be more aggressive in, gets to have more control of the lane in, so a very different style from what we saw in game number 1. And I'm hoping to see more out of Havoc in this game. As, like we said, they were kind of invisible in that first game, but not entirely to their own fault. It's just kind of the matchup that they were put in to keep the draft working for them.
Yeah, again, we'll see what happens here. Again, more of a quieter one. Duck actually getting traded on quite heavily. We'll be, unfortunately, first strike. So we'll be collector first item. I mean, I guess you could go Hex Optics, but it probably is going to be the collector.
I have seen the math done. Hex Optics is just more damage than Collector at every stage of the game, no matter what your range is. You can be in melee with someone and your autos will do more damage than with a Collector. After a certain armor point, Collector just becomes absolutely useless, as some spells are going to fly in the bottom lane, but we're not going to see too much health bars move with the sustain from that bard.
I mean, honestly, for SGR, they're actually doing a great job here of not letting Caitlyn do what she actually wants to do. And that is shove them under tower. They're actually holding this at basically the absolute perfect point where they're completely safe. That's actually, oh, nice cancel there.
So knock up. Havoc taking a lot of minion aggro here. This is the issue with Urgot. You don't have those spells that can just get free poke. A lot of your damage comes from the autos, and that draws minion aggro.
Yeah, great. Oh, I'll hold that thought.
Glacial Augment bind.
Yeah, should just be a trade.
Nothing with the Glacial Augment here, which I think is actually the correct call. Max cancels out that recall. Havoc getting aggressed on anyway, looking to avoid that Q3. Flashes away from it. Here's going to flash as well, but Max saves the flag and drag, and this should just be one dead Aatrox. A couple more autos will do it. The red buff, proc, ignite, not enough. The red buff is, though, first blood over to the Jarvan.
Hey, it's Max once again showing face here for SGR in this early game. As picks up first blood in this game. Great gank in the top side, and again, always at the right spot at the right time, but trade here in the bot lane.
Muffin trying to keep the stun away, but flashed away from by Duck, and now fails potentially the one in trouble. Muffin's going to look for the bind, force the flash into Bobby as well. Death Card's on the back foot, but still feeling confident enough to continue to walk forward.
I'm a little shocked that Bobby didn't go cleanse this game. Looked over, just checked, so... I think they're... I mean, of course, you can't really cleanse anything from the Zehen or the Aatrox, but if you get... Ooh, fails.
It's very low on HP, but looking for the trade here. Does have Mags in the area, and this should just be a dead Muffin. Duck looking to just try and channel up a recall here, but I don't think you're getting out of this one with Mags at full HP. The Morgana's already down. The ward's down. They've spotted out Duck. They're going to try and give it over to Bobby with the barrier. One more auto will do it. The extra little bit of movement speed. Gets the ward down. Gets the auto down. Again, Mags running the map early in the game.
Yeah, I mean, again, but we actually see the same kind of trade-off from Vertigo from last game, right? He, ball lane gets ganked, you know, and he just goes, invades topside. So Vertigo doing literally the exact same thing as last game. So hopefully for SGR, it's not deja vu, where they get a nice little lead here in the early game off of the back of Mags. And then it all is just death cards running the map after a few mistakes of their own. We'll see. It will be the Bork first here for the Yunara.
Yeah, we are seeing, at the very least, the Serrated Dirk in inventory of Duck, but it's also a longsword afterwards, which To me says maybe Hubris actually instead of the Collector, as Collector doesn't have another longsword in the inventory.
No, it does not. Could also just be picking up the Serrated Dirk for added pressure early. Because Serrated Dirk is actually a great component purchase for
It's
Caitlyn.
good gold value early.
But we'll see. Well, I mean, surely it's not. Surely you have to go crit first item here. We'll see. We'll see what she purchases.
I mean,
We'll check back
Hubris
in on that later.
Hubris would give you the AD to get over the mid-game bump at the very least. It's an option as Duck will not get caught by that Cosmic Binding. And the trades of bottom lane are really support skill shot reliant. If either support lands their skill shots, the trade's going to go in their favor.
Yeah, unfortunately here for death cards, it's Bard's skill shot being much easier to land than the binding, but
Uh-oh. Fails. Potentially in trouble here. The trap is up. Duck looking for the damage. Just doesn't have enough to finish it off. And now Mags in the area. They know that Duck doesn't have the flash. And that's going to be Girly Pop coming in with the Twisted Fate ultimate. Picking up a free kill. Nice little collapse there from SGR. They lose the dragon, but they maintain a kill and a gold lead.
yeah, I mean, great stuff from SGR, and so far they've been looking on point in their early games. This one more so because they haven't made that like those crucial mistakes to let death cards kind of slither their way back in like they did last game. Now it's Duck being really far behind on this Caitlyn now. I say really far behind, but is even CS, but it's down.
I think it is actually going to be Hubris first. I'm going to be honest, I really like this, as we got to trade up on the top side. Ultimate burn from Akira, looking for that Deathbringer stance, but Havoc with the Fury on Death takes the 1v1 handler.
Akira, can't confidently say, but I'm almost certain that if Akira is just sitting there auto-attacking Havoc, because he's never getting out. He's never getting out from like the W auto-attack range because of the Fear Beyond Death. If he just chooses to try and auto-attack there, maybe he kills Havoc because of the Conqueror stacks. But
I think it's possible. With the Night Taking, it's really hard to say. It is going to be Mags helping Havoc push out this wave. Also looking to take 2 plates. No, just the one. Oh, I thought Mags was greeting there.
Hey, Mag's my carry over here, alright? My boy deserves 2 plates. Let him get those plates. Anyways, Akira having a rough one. Also opting for the Serrated Dirk himself, which not very common, especially into a hard matchup like this.
Mags is going to get that reef canceled. Akira catching him out in the brush. We'll take Q1, Q2. Doesn't interrupt the flag and drag, though. Nice timing by Mags. We'll get away from that one, but it is going to net the grubs over to death cards. So neutral objectives in their favor, even despite being behind in kills and gold.
Yeah, should be able to pick up grubs, and much like last game, kind of similar story. Death cards.
Got the first 2 at the very least, but Vertigo now in a bit of trouble. It has to flash away from the flag and drag. Mags, even with the ultimate, not wanting to follow up, is not fully aware of where everybody is. Girly Pop, though, wants to keep the trade going. Vertigo, potentially in trouble, looking to stack out the passive, trying to get in on the kill. Makes it 1 for 1 at the very least. Mags looking to trade in onto Fortnite. Akira, meantime, on the backline. Havoc has the Fear Beyond Death, could maybe look for a little bit more, but Akira, confident to just walk forward. The Primordial Burst is not enough, but Akira dashes in and cuts him down with the Umbral Blades.
Hey, great play from death cards, and like I said, it would be a really big tragedy here for SGR if we get a run back from last game, some deja vu. But at the very least, they were not able to get that Herald, so they are chilling. Not Herald. They didn't get all of the grubs. Excuse me. They didn't get all the grubs. That's actually Fortnite in trouble here. No flash.
Looking for Fortnite. There's that Cataclysm, but Girly Pop can't walk up too far forward. The cage positioning just right, but does have the gold card. Will get it down in time, and Mags now on a killing spree. Sundered Sky already completed and looking to jump ahead towards that second item.
Great play again from Mags, and a little bit of disrespect from Fortnite coming out of the mid, and honestly, kind of is looking exactly like last game. Mags picking up the majority of their kills early, is always in the right spot at the right times. Fortnite getting punished there by a Mags gank.
Fails. Just gonna get a little bit of poke down on the muffin. Say hey, walk away. Top lane trade's still going pretty hefty, but yeah, I like this early game. This feels more in control for SGR. At this point, last game, they were down about 1,000 gold, but now they've got the lead in their favor. They're down on neutral objectives, but given how far ahead your lanes are, I think you're feeling okay with that.
Yeah, I think you're feeling all right about it. Now, especially if you can get this Drake coming up, but it's going to be really hard. Look at the vision control in their own jungle here from Death Guards. So phenomenal. Granted, it would be nice if they could push that line maybe a bit farther up. Because they have a control ward all the way back at their tier, like right outside their gate. So I'm not quite sure what value that's giving. But nice little deep ward here from SGR. Won't actually see anyone
Fortnite,
though.
reading for the plate. Has to pop the ghost immediately. Does have the spell book, so we'll get the summoners back relatively soon. Should have teleport up in the next, I think, 30 seconds or so as Kira and Havoc continue trading. But Mags is just making things happen throughout this game.
Continues. As Drake started up here for SGR. Really a game-deciding moment here for either team.
Dragon, yeah, started up 4,000 health now. Fortnite is going to catch Fails, who has their own Summoner Spellbook. Will cleanse away from that cage, but this Dragon is just going to go over to Death Cards. Mag's not in the area. Smite comes through, and now Fortnite potentially looking for an engage, but Mag's in the meantime on the backline is going to get on top of Duck. Flash is burned away. The ultimate burn throbs ahead. Vertigo getting into the backline and taking him down. Bobby gets caught out of the portal, but immediately hops back into it. Nicely played there. Good little bit of disengage there, but SGR don't get the Dragon and lose their jungler. It's not a great trade.
Definitely not a great trade, although Akira... Woo!
Nice binding there. Vertigo looking for a little bit of extra damage. Muffin's just going to pop the chains. Fails, forced to flash and heal away. Bobby is transcended, but another root up just means the Yunara is not allowed to move.
Yeah, not allowed to move. Won't find anything despite the transcendent state, and nothing. Oh, no way.
Another bind! Walking too far forward. The barrier's there, but Vertigo just slices through the shield. And I'm getting a little sense of deja vu here, Ozzy. This is feeling very close to game one.
I mean, basically exactly down to the letter, right? Like, outside of Havoc actually having a lead on, on Akira, which was missing last game. Also, it's double Hubris. I know Hubris, did get buffed, but surely it is not this good. Like, surely. Of course, I've been kind of out of the loop about, like, the Hubris math and things like that.
800 gold is cheap. It's a good item. I don't like the Collector second, but I think the Hubris first can actually provide a good chunk of value, provided that you're getting a kill or two here or there. And unfortunately for Duck, just hasn't been able to get much.
A lot of people, but it is nice to see some experimentation with it nonetheless. Death cards have significantly less to lose, if they lose this game, than SGR. So, if you are just kind of, feeling it out, not a bad choice. That's now twice that we have seen Havoc have his E canceled by the Aatrox. Kira, despite giving over for, the first kill to the Urgot, has actually been managing to kind of stay even with it. And in fact, despite TPing down, is actually only down 4 CS here, which is very impressive. Because the Urgot was top lane the entire time.
Max is going to get spotted out on the ward here. Duck and Muffin will play safe, not get caught by that gank. Fortnite looking for a little trade onto Girly Pop here. We'll take a chunk of health out of the TF, but with the Rod of Ages and the upgraded boots, not feeling too pressed. -1 on the Cannon Creep, but don't worry, Girly Pop, no one saw it.
We saw.
That was the joke, yes, thank you for explaining. Mag's looking for another gank spot here as Muffin's the one in trouble. Duck is going to sidestep the Cosmic Binding with immediate root and ultimate onto TF. Can they burst it down? Yes, they can. A headshot from Duck is going to take him out. Now Mag's stuck in the back line, looking for the Cataclysm, gets it down onto Duck. Here they have enough damage to finally finish on the Caitlyn. They do. It goes over to Fails, but immediately Vertigo will pick that one up, and the one over to Fortnite as well. Fails will take the portal and get the heck out of dodge, but it's a great turnaround from Death Cards.
Duck is just kind of acting like a bait. They know that Duck doesn't have flash, and they're trying so hard to convert that kill that they kind of just forget that Death Cards has more people there. More particularly, it's Vertigo on the Zehen, who is such a threat. 4-1-1 now, and you know, it is looking like deja vu the longer we go into this game, as SGR once again start to lose a little bit of that early game control that they had.
Rough spot now, SGR. Looking for some kind of turnaround. Havoc is forced to flash away from that pole, though. Vertigo, again, similar to game one, doing a great job of coming back in this game. Mags, for the first 10 minutes of the game, had been running the roost, but Duck, now in trouble. Pop is going to get the stun, but with the Rod of Ages build, they just don't have the damage to actually kill the Caitlyn, and was a lot of summoners burned. Muffin now going to look for something. Ghost being forced out from the Twisted Fate. A lot of movement speed means he'll get out of dodge, but that's a big summoner lost for the TF.
Yeah, won't lie. Bit unfortunate that they don't even catch the Caitlyn there. They did get out the barrier at the very least, but that, you know, might make a play as we get 20 seconds away.
It was kind of like peanuts in comparison to what they wanted.
And if you recall,
Vertigo. This is what we saw SGR do so well in game number one. The vision plays Vertigo walking into the brush, unawarded, already taken down to a 30 HP, but they don't have the follow-up. Vertigo will just manage to walk out, holding onto the flash and the ultimate as well. Huge nerves of steel to make that happen.
I mean, honestly, I thought they were going to force out the Grim Deliverance for Vertigo, but that doesn't even happen. If you recall,
Uh-oh, trouble from Muffin. The Black Shield is going to deny the rest of that slow. There's the Cosmic Binding. Temperance A fails, forced to flash out. Vertigo wants to keep the follow, wants to keep the fight going. Fortnite's going to teleport in. Ace in the hole, they'll give the kill over to Duck, and that means that Hubris is going to start stacking up. Mags taking a chunk of damage from Fortnite. One more cage ought to do it, but just doesn't have the movement speed. Mags in his own jungle, pretty damn fast. Vertigo can't pull him back. Mags will be able to survive. But with the low health bar in the jungle and the kill on the support, that's just a free dragon over to Death Cards. They're set to soul point.
yeah, so, well, we'll hold that thought.
Havoc wants to make this play happen, but is under half HP. Akira is going to sidestep that canister and will manage to walk out of here. But Havoc confidently walking up, even though Ignite just has the ultimate, and saying, hey, you don't have your ultimate, I have mine. You can't trade with me.
Yeah, well, no one will die here on the top side, at least right now, as, well...
Fails want to change that. Tempered Fate on cooldown for Fails. He doesn't have the ultimate, but they're still going to look for a potential dive. Akira, Fear Beyond Death is going to connect. They just need a little bit more damage, but I don't think Fails has it. Havoc taking up the turret, can't take that last shot, and Akira walks away from the 1v3, but then it walks up too far forward, suddenly Twisted Fate in the area, and you are popped, my friend. Greedy punish by SGR.
I mean, not quite sure what the thought process is. The wave is still going to crash into your tower. Just relax. Kira goes a little too far, does go down. Herald started up here for SGR and immediately being forced off by just Morgana face checking. So
in the hole, gonna take a little bit of health bar out of the Twisted Fate.
Vertigo.
Under half, doesn't have the passive stacked up, forced to use Grim Deliverance just defensively. Bobby did pop the Transcendence, so a pretty big cooldown loss from the Yunara, especially without that Fiend Hunter bolts. It means that you're gonna have a lot more struggle getting that ultimate back online. Fortnite looking for the cage angle, doesn't manage to find it. Nice little cleanse there from Buffin to make sure no extra follow-up will come through. Duck has to flash away from that Tempered Fate, and they're going to continue to look for the follow-up. Mags is in with the Cataclysm. They have the damage down to the Fortnite. They will take down the Vigor. Bobby picks up a big shutdown gold there. Akira teleports in, but it's a little too late. TF on the side, just getting another stun card down, and Akira just can't manage to walk forward. The health bars are low from SGR, but they're continuing with confidence. They're just walking forward. World Under's finally popped from Akira, but you're stunned for so damn long. The exhaust comes through as well. Where's the damage on the Aatrox? You just don't have it. If you're Beyond Death, flashed away from perfectly by Akira. Manages to just barely sidestep it. And what could have been a lot bloodier of a loss for Death Cards, he managed to just barely skirt away from.
Right now Vertigo's dead.
Vertigo caught on the side, shut down over to Fails. Not exactly the target they wanted on, but for SGR, you take what you can get at this point in the game.
You just have a 10-man in mid for literally nothing. Like, there is nothing up besides Baron. No team is even remotely close to doing that objective at the moment. And we get the M600 special of just fight because we're bored.
This is what we were missing game number 1.
And
They just needed to fight more.
this pays off actually big time for SGRs. They desperately needed something to go their way, and that was exactly it. A lot of greedy and disrespectful plays coming from Death Guard there, all predicated off of just disrespecting vision, disrespecting the potential to get caught by the Tempered Fate, right? You know, Mags doing phenomenal here on the J4. You know, plenty of KP go around here for him in particular, as well as the Bard. They are tied, but more so J4 kind of been getting things done here for SGR. As now Fortnite is playing this Vigar, so does have that scaling factor. Curious how many stacks he has. We'll check that in a moment, I'm sure, but comes down to Death Guards, right? They need to get some vision control and respect the line.
206 stacks on that passive. Not feeling half bad about that. It's not exactly like a Nasus where you can start accelerating way past about 10 every minute, but you're still feeling pretty darn good.
Yes.
Havoc is going to eat a lot of damage, but Twisted Fate is in the area. There's the Ignite, the Fury on death. There's just no moving allowed for Akira. Those plated steel caps do not provide tenacity, and that is just going to be a swift death for the Aatrox.
There is no way he dies to the same TF play in a like. That is so funny.
He won't die to the same play a third time, though.
Ugh. We'll see. Caitlyn kind of forced to solo defend top. What is going on?
Weird positioning here from Death Guards, looking for a flank, but they have no one that they're flanking for. Stun lands onto Vertigo, and I think this guy is just gonna die. Bobby dashing in, the Gribble Lyrics is there, gets plenty of healing. He'll manage to survive just for a little bit longer. Twisted Fate on the flank will pick up the kill. Stun card lands, Welcome to flashes away way too late. A double kill over to Girly Pop, and SGR start running away with this game.
Death Guards at some point has to realize that their comp only really works when they're deathballing. Instead of just all running around willy-nilly getting picked out one by one, because it is just the same mistakes constantly happening here. A little bit of a late bind coming in, or Black Shield coming in from Muffin, means that Vertigo gets stunned, takes a lot of his HP, but it will be the first dragon here for SGR. As Cryptic Soul actually quite scary to deal with an Aatrox and also as a hen on your team. So
these individual Chemtech dragons are pretty darn good as well. What's one thing that you don't have in inventory for almost any of these characters? I only see 2 Mercury Treads over the entire team. It's tenacity. And tenacity is not something that's very easy to come by. Havoc's got it on the Sterex, and we've got 2 sets of Mercury Treads, but that's kind of it right now.
It's actually really hard to even itemize Merc Treads this game because there's only realistically 1 AP champ, and it's not a full AP TF, right? So good drafting here actually from SGR makes Merc Treads so hard to opt into, just due to the sheer amount of AD they have on their team. Curiously, Duck going for the Swifties, which I feel like has kind of given him not a lot of value.
I don't feel like I particularly agree with it. The slow, you're just using it straight up for the extra movement speed you get over to other 2 boots, not really the slow passive doing very much for you. I think if you wanted a defensive set of boots, it's either the steel caps or the Mercury Treads. I don't think you really need the extra movement speed that badly, do you?
We'll see, but Caitlyn kind of starting to come online now. So, should be able to start swinging in these fights. 3 items, working towards the 4th, of course. As Havoc threatening this bot tier 1, but Death Guards finned off the Deja Vu allegations by having a massive kerfuffle of the mid-game so far. As trade 1-for-1 tower at the exact same time. Cinema. Good job. Good job, both Death Guards and SGR.
Yeah, I think this is, as much as it is Death Guards kind of playing this mid game pretty poorly, it is SGR taking advantage of their mistakes and playing very well. As, speaking of mistakes, Mags maybe a little bit out of position, now stuck in the baby cage, forced to flash out. Temperate Fate will just find Vertigo. Flag and Drag is caught by the dash, and right into the waiting arms of Duck! The trap plays perfectly. Bobby and Fails just forced on the run. Nicely played by Death Cards. As speaking of, Akira maybe wants to look for this 1v1, but it's not exactly 1v1. Fury Beyond Death just barely misses. Now he can look to turn it around, but with the Ghost, hard to catch up to this Twisted Fate. A huge Deathbringer's can't heal. Flash in, doesn't manage to connect onto the Twisted Fate. He backs off over the wall. Akira looking for the aggressive play, but just buying time as the team takes the Baron.
Okay, but this is once again Akira getting caught by this TF, and it's kind of funny. They will lose their mid-tier 2 for this Baron as well, never mind. They come here to defend it. And it will be Fortnite catching that wave, so they don't miss their mid-tier 2. They don't even get the bot tier 2 either. So your top laner for Baron is honestly not that bad of a trade, especially Akira being 1 and 4 previously before going down.
Yeah, when your top lane is this far behind, I think you're okay with that trade.
But at the same time, there have been so many needless deaths here from Akira, and it does kind of come down to their vision, you know, control is all wrapped around topside because of Baron being up, so he needs to respect that this TF can just be anywhere, right? So far has not done that, and it's been punished for it time and time again. But Death Cards again take a deep breath, find themselves the Baron, and let's see what they can do with it now. Try and get themselves back into a leading position in terms of gold.
Yeah, there's going to be more tower pressure down on this bottom side. Twisted Fate, a great split pusher, not only for the damage, but also for this, using that Destiny Gate to get away and maybe get into the fight as Mags is going to look for a little bit of a backline dive, but left alone with Duck and Muffin, and they can't get much done. Fury on Death is not going to land on anybody. Fortnite is going to explode Girly Pop. Now Havoc, the one in trouble. Akira gets one knock up, too. Looking for number 3, the slowdown, the chains pull him back. And Resurgence were looking so good, but Death Cards draw their fate from the tarot deck and say we are not losing this series.
Wow. Kira, who is 1 and 5, mind you, just walks down Bobby like that. 80 carry in 2026, everyone. And SGR, again, it's heartbreak here. As Mags goes too far in, as Bart might just... Alright, this should be okay.
Fortnite has the primordial burst. Yeah, that's just a dead Bart.
Yeah, didn't see the primordial burst was up, because he literally just used it, but so my mistake. Yeah, that was back, and it's actually almost back up again, halfway through its cooldown. As the Vigar is now becoming a massive threat, right as the Zehen is falling off in some of these fights. So it's a nice how would you say this? It's a nice pendulum swing here for Death Cards. You know, passing of the honors.
Up, Max is in the area alongside Twisted Fate. Suddenly, Duck is caught up, but headshot takes Girly Pop's head off. Will get shut down immediately back by the Fury on Death, and Havoc now in the front line looking for a little bit of damage. Vertigo taken very low, but the stun is going to land from the cage, from Muffin. The crowd control comes through, and exhaust down onto Bobby. Can they finally get enough done? The Chemtech Soul comes through, and Akira gets another double kill. This Aatrox from 1 in 5 to suddenly running these team fights. And that's just going to be the game and the series.
I mean, Fortnite coming up here to teleport, and the cage is so underrated, right? Like, it is so underrated. As here's another one landed.
It's insane. It's absurd.
But gets so much value this game. Also, Akira making up for his sins in these last 2 fights for sure.
SGR had this game for 90% of it. But with a couple of misplayed fights and a couple of great positioning from Death Cards, the series just ends. It's just over.
There we go. I was about to say, please do not troll the end here. Vertigo would have
7 and 5. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. I mean, really just tragic from SGR. Their early games are so good. It's just the mid game just completely falling apart. They're looking so lost. I also felt like Girly Pop on the TF had some really interesting and really unique plays where you weren't actually seeing the roam through the ultimate. It was literally just, I'm going to sit in a bush, and then Akira bit into it twice, right? Like, but it worked out.
It was
But
just
you
like they
know,
did in game number 1. Great vision plays. They
mhm.
were making stuff happen. But a couple of misplayed fights, and this is what Death Cards does so well. As soon as you make a mistake, you give them an inch. They take a mile.
Yeah, and I mean, Death Cards. Yes, the early game though, they're gonna have to figure that out for playoffs, because this game more so than last game, right? Like last game, it was actually SGR who even let Death Cards back into the game by some crazy mistakes. This game though, it's realistically SGR just has a complete breakdown that Death Cards. I felt like this game was not the Death Cards we even saw in game 1. I felt like they were kind of on a weaker stand. Fortnite on the Vigard did really well. Duck still having some issues of getting caught early, right? Like that is some issues that need to be nipped in the bud. Akira also biting into, the TF bait. The most egregious one
Not too
wasn't
many
even the
times.
one that, like, it was definitely when he literally was on the way to get dove. They walk away and he decides to walk up and then dies for it. That was the most egregious one, but you
Yeah.
just need to temper yourselves and just have some reservation in your gameplay. And the whole 5-man mid, which also got them down even more gold, was so unnecessary. There's literally no reason to fight at all. Everything is gone. You're just fighting to fight, and that's exactly where leads can just be completely destroyed and have what you would consider, right? Like, oh, we're in a great position. That's exactly where that can flip on its head, and then now you're staring down the barrel of a team who now has a lead, getting the pressure around the most important objectives in the game, right? The later the game goes, those drakes, especially the team that's closer to the soul is like really gonna start feeling like, oh, we have to get this drake, so they're gonna be more inclined to fight for it, even though they just completely lost all of the tempo and lead they had because of the last fight. SGR, though, just so tragic. Great early games, right? Like, that's not something they need to look at. It has to be their mid
Yeah.
game because it just all falls apart then.
Yeah, I think the scoreline of this series truly doesn't tell exactly how this series went. As much as you'll come back to this a couple weeks from now and you'll be like, oh, 2 loss, it felt so rough. The series itself was pretty darn close for, I would say, more than half of it, with SGR maintaining a lead or maintaining at the very least tempo even when they were behind in gold. They played their early game so well, but like we said, Death Cards just took advantage of mid-game mistakes and ended up punishing them for it. And losing a series like that, it just feels so mentally defeating. I'm really hoping that we can see them make a bounce back next week, because I want to see this team make playoffs. I think both the SG teams have some great players on them and have great ability. They have a really high ceiling, but sometimes you go up against arguably the best team in our league, and it just feels demoralizing to lose like that.
Yeah, I mean, also could genuinely be like a mental thing, right? Like Mags going in, kind of frustrated angles there in
Mhm.
that game too. Maybe just like there were multiple times where he's kind of just going in by himself. Like, might have been a shot call, right? Could have been something like a shot calling issue. So don't want to necessarily point to mental. I think that's like a big
Hard
cop
for us
out.
to speculate exactly what
It's a
happened.
big cop out answer as well. Like, it genuinely could be anything, right? It could be
Mhm.
tilt. It could be communication. It could just be decision making, right? So many issues it could be. But that's enough of speculation, because at the end of the day, we can speculate till we're blue in the face. SGR still
Till the
lost
cows come
today,
home.
and Death Cards, of course, winning and continuing their dominant showing.
Dominant showing over the league at the very least, as
Yes,
they advance
yeah.
now to 5 and
Mhm.
1, and I think at the very least can secure themselves a winning record from the season. I don't think it guarantees them a top spot in playoffs or even in playoffs at all, but at the very least, you can take home an above 50% win rate, even if you lose your next 3 games. I don't think they're going to, but it is a possibility. But that is going to be it from us tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. I've been What's Birdie. That's been Ozzy, playing both producer and observer today. Shivam stepping in and doing an incredible job. We thank you all so much for being here, and we'll be here next week, same time, same place, for more Titan Immortal action. Have a good night.
We'll be right back.